Hello everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Catholic Education Week. My name is Chaplain Sarah, and many of you may remember me from your grade 8 retreat up at Mount Mary, and others of you may remember me from some classroom visits that I've done throughout the year. I am one of the elementary school chaplains, and I serve school communities in Kitchener and Waterloo. So as I said, today is day 2 of Catholic Education Week. Our theme for the week is Igniting Hope, and our focus for today is the hope within us. So, what does it mean to have hope within us? Where does hope come from? So I'd like to share 2 brief stories with you today as we take a look at hope and what that means for us. So the first is the story of the road to Emmaus, which we read in the Gospel of Luke, and many of you may already be familiar with this story. It starts with Jesus just having died on the cross, and many of his followers were shocked and deeply saddened that the Lord was no longer with them. 2 disciples were walking along the road away from Jerusalem when they encountered a stranger. It was Jesus, but they did not recognize him. Jesus walked and talked with the disciples until it was evening. He listened to them speak about their grief and their sadness. They were sad because they thought the man that they knew to be the Messiah had just been put to death. But Jesus told them not to lose hope because of what was written in the scriptures, that the Son of God would die and rise again. When it became evening, the disciples invited Jesus to eat with them. Before the meal, Jesus said a blessing over the bread. He broke the bread and gave it to the disciples, sharing it with them. When Jesus did this, the disciples immediately recognized that it was Jesus, and he suddenly vanished from their sight. So after this encounter with Jesus, the disciples had returned to Jerusalem to tell the other disciples what had happened and that Jesus had risen. When Jesus was speaking to the disciples on the road and reminding them of what the prophets had said, he was building hope in their hearts. Their hope, and our hope, is in Jesus' resurrection. We know that Jesus rose from the dead, ascended to God the Father in heaven, and sent the Holy Spirit to comfort and strengthen us. Our hope rests in God, who is with us through the Holy Spirit and journeys with us as we joyfully wait for Jesus to come again. Our second story is one that we learn, again, this deep hope, and it is through the life of Saint Brother Andre. Saint Brother Andre lived a difficult life because from a very young age, he was always very sick. By the time he had turned 12, both of his parents had died. Saint Brother Andre loved God very much, and he dedicated much of his life to deep prayer. He inspired many, many non-Christians to join the church, and Catholics who had gone away from their faith and gone away from the church were all of a sudden coming back. Saint Brother Andre did not have the comfort of his family for most of his life. He struggled with his poor health, but his hope in the Lord never failed. He trusted God completely, and he invited others to put their lives in God's hands because God abandons no one. Sometimes when we face sadness, disappointment, or loss, like the disciples on the road to Emmaus, or like Saint Brother Andre, it is Christ in us that gives us hope. When things seem hopeless or impossible, we remember that for God, nothing is impossible. In the book of Philippians, in chapter 4, in verse 13, it says, "I can do all things through him who strengthens me." God can heal our hurt, and he gives us the courage and the hope to move forward. The hope within us comes from God. Our hope comes from knowing that he walks with us on life's journey. Especially during this time of pandemic, he is with us in our struggles. we are also filled with joy and hope, knowing that Jesus will come again. These are strange times, and knowing that we will be in isolation a little while longer can be difficult. But as faith-filled people, let us ask Jesus to come into our homes, be with us and our families, and fill us with his hope, light, and love, so that we may be strong in the coming weeks. I hope to see your smiling faces very soon, and know that I am praying for you and your families every day. May this week ignite the hope of Jesus within you, and may God bless you and keep you in the palm of his hand.